Today's question is, how many universes are there? And sort of like the secondary title is the paradox of infinity. My brother was editing my book, and he noticed that in my diagrams I had layers, but I seemed to skip the layer of universe. So I had like planet, solar system, galaxy, and then the one. But where's the universe layer? And to be honest, I hadn't even noticed. So this is channeled stuff that I had put into my book, which is about to be released, and I hadn't even noticed that there was no universal layer. So he pointed out, and that posed the question, how many universes are there? Because this was relevant to the diagram. Because we had multiple planets, multiple solar systems, multiple galaxies, and then the next layer in my diagram was the one. So where's the universal layer? Are there multiple universes? So that's what I want to know today. And when I started asking that question, thinking about it, I immediately got the paradox of infinity. So I've included that as well, and let's channel and see what's there. Greetings and thank you for the question. How many universes are there? Let us start by beginning this way. When you first began to hold that question in your mind, about how many universes are there, we gave you this little teaser, which is the paradox of infinity, because it is a fundamental characteristic of what the One has created. It must be for the All to exist. Paradox is by necessity a fundamental characteristic of the All, and the All being the illusion which was created by the One so that it could answer its original desire, which was to be incomplete, so that it could return to a state of completeness. And this desire gave rise to the divine purpose, which is for the One to know itself to completion through experience. As there is only one, then it was necessary for the One to create the illusion of more than one. So it individuated itself infinitum. So now there was the capacity for contrast, for one thing to look at another thing and say, I am not that, and therefore have an experience of itself. And through this mechanism, each of these individuations are in fact proxies for the One, because there is only one. And this illusory context was the vehicle through which the one could know itself to completion through experience. So, we can see just from this explanation that the very fundamental definition of the all is paradoxical, because it is the appearance of an infinite number of beings, of individual consciousnesses, yet it is only one. It is paradoxical. The individuations and the context of the universe in which it all exists and has its experiences, so that it can discover that it is in fact the one playing with the illusion, illusory. So, reality is illusory. Again, it is paradoxical. So this is the fundamental nature of what the one has created. Paradox must exist so that the illusion can exist, because the illusion itself is a paradox. So, let's explore more ways in which this paradoxical nature exists within the illusion. There are an infinite number of individuations which have been created by the one, but paradoxically it is just one, not an infinite, but a singular. And each of these individuations are having their unique experiences across linear time. And so there are an infinite number of moments. However, paradoxically, there is only one moment, and that moment is now. What exists instead of being an infinite number of moments is an infinite number of perspectives of the one moment. So all time, for all beings that exist now, have existed in the past, will exist in the future, is all occurring now from an infinite number of perspectives. Paradox. The universe appears to have an infinite amount of matter. The Earth human has not travelled deeply into the extents of the universe to discover what is out there. Is there an outer boundary? In fact, there is no species in creation that can say they have found the outer boundary of the universe, because it is infinite. There is no end. And so if there is no end, then there must be an infinite amount of particles, an infinite amount of mass. Even looking locally at the matter on your own planet, when you look at a single atom and you peer closer, you can see that there are subatomic particles. And then when you peer even closer to those, you can see there are subatomic particles. And as your science develops, what you will discover, and has already been theorized by leading theoretical physicists within the human field, is that the atom, or the subatomic particle, the subatomic particle, is infinitely divisible. when a smaller particle is found, when your science develops significantly, adequately, you will discover that this final particle that you believed you had discovered is in fact also divisible. And then that also divisible. And then that also divisible. Until you will come to the conclusion that it is infinitely divisible. There is no smallest particle. Every particle will always be able to be divided into yet smaller particles. What this means, if you have a single atom, and that single atom is made of particles which are infinitely divisible, and each of those particles have mass, then even a single atom has infinite mass. There are an infinite number of particles in a single atom. However, the paradox is there is only one particle. Not one particle within the atom, but in all of creation, there is one particle. And this one particle is existing in an infinite number of places simultaneously. Just as there is one moment with an infinite number of perspectives, and there is also one particle with an infinite number of positions. Just as there is one being with an infinite number of individuations. Can you see the fractal nature? There is the paradox of infinity coinciding with one. So, this then brings us to this question. How many universes are there? Well, looking at what we have discussed so far, you can anticipate the answer is paradoxical. There are an infinite number of universes, and yet there is only one. Let us explain it in this way. When the One created the All, it went from being one to being more than one. And the way that it did this was to create a binary relationship where there was the One existing conceptually and the One existing experientially, meaning the creation of the All, the individuations infinitum, which is the One, the particles infinitum, which is the One, the moments infinitum, which is the One. This was the binary. And so there was the One and the context. And the context being what the One had created such that it could fulfill its divine purpose. So there was the One and the experience of the One, the concept of the One and the context of the One. And so there was one context. There continues to be one context. And yet in this context, this one context, is found infinity. The infinity of individuations, the infinity of particles, the infinity of moments, and the infinity of universes. So, this context does not contain an infinite number of universes, but instead contains only one universe with an infinite number of permutations. Just as there is one being with an infinite number of individuations, and there is one moment with an infinite number of perspectives, and there is one particle with an infinite number of positions. So, it is this or that. It is both the infinitum and the singular. It is the paradox. So, let's look more closely at the mechanics of this infinite number of universes existing simultaneously as the single universe. Every moment that you experience is presented with choice. And that choice is guiding you through the universes. So, the flow of time is in fact also an illusion, because there is only one moment and there are different perspectives of this one moment. Then the flow of time is not a flow of time, but it is just a changing perspective of this one moment. So, in a sense, it is like the images in a video, in a film, where you have the frames. And each frame could be said is a moment. And when you play these so they stream, these frames streaming by, it creates the illusion that there is flowing time. But in fact, all it is a succession of frames. And these frames, within this metaphor, are different perspectives of the now. So, you are changing your perspective of the now billions, trillions, an infinite number of times per second, which creates the illusion of linear time. Because in the most extrapolated context, where there is only the one, there is no time. Time does not exist. So time is endemic to the illusion of the all. So, therefore, if each moment is just a snapshot, then it could be said each moment, each snapshot is in fact a unique universe unto itself, because it is not part of the next moment, but it is separate from the next moment. They are just occurring in a sequence, creating the illusion that they are flowing together, that it is one thing. But in fact, it is just this infinitely rapid succession of still frames of the moment, the changing perspective of the moment. So each frame is distinctly disconnected from the moments before and from the moments after for the entire universe. It is a universe unto its own. So, even in the passing of a single second, you will transition through an infinite number of universes. And the universe that you will experience will be dependent upon the choice that you make in that moment. Because not only are you transitioning through an infinite number of universes, for each moment, each frame that you experience, there was the option to make a choice which would give you access to an infinite number of alternative versions of that universe. So, in every moment, as you pass through these universes, you are simultaneously presented with the option, via the free will choice, to make a decision which will put you into a different universe, meaning that when you walk into your bedroom, you can make the decision to turn to your side and switch on the light, or you could walk to the table next to your bed and switch on that light. These choices are taking you in different directions, and those different directions are literally different universes. And yet, you are experiencing just one universe, or so it appears. This is the paradox. You are experiencing an infinite number of universes at the same time that you perceive to be experiencing one universe. So there are an infinite number of universes, but yet there is only one universe. It is the one universe with an infinite number of permutations. This is the paradox. So, the answer to the original question, how many universes are there? There are an infinite number of universes. And yet, there is only one universe. It is the paradox. The paradox of infinity. So let's go deeper into this concept. So, all experiences pre-exist, similar to a computer game. When you are playing a computer game, you may be able to do actions, make moves, go on missions, and complete them in your special way, which has never occurred before. No one ever in the history of that game has played the game in the exact same way that you just did. It was your unique game experience. However, you were only able to play the game the way that you did and have the movements and go on the missions and so on because it is pre-coded into the game. You did what you did, but within the context of the potential that had been coded into the game. So, essentially, every move you made, everything you did, was pre-existing. And you made the choice to do that pre-existing option. To exploit pre-existing potential in the game. In a very similar way, every moment you experience pre-exists. Every experience you had is an experience which was already pre-existing in the potential of reality. So when the One created the All, it also created the infinite potential of the all pre-existing. And as you go through life, you don't create your experiences, but instead you manifest your experiences. So your experience is all pre-existing, and your resonance, your energy signature is bringing into your perception experiences which are resonant, which are a vibratory match with your energy signature. And so this means, as a little aside here, the money that you want, the car that you want, the house that you want, the everything that you want are already pre-existing. You do not have to create them, but instead you just have to resonate with them, become harmonic with them, so that they come into your perception, because there is a resonant match, because they already pre-exist in the potential of the all, your experience. So, as you make these choices, passing through what appears to be time, although it is an infinite number of perspectives of this single moment, and you make a choice which takes you in that direction, pre-existing and then coexisting in this one moment are all these other options that could have been taken. And as you did not take them, they continue to exist. And there is a version of you that made that choice. So, when you came into the room and you chose to switch on the lamp on the table next to the bed, there was a version of you in other universes that instead chose to turn on the light. So, not only are there an infinite number of permutations of this single universe, there are an infinite number of permutations also of you. Because in a context, this other universe does exist, and in this other universe is a version of you that has arrived where it is through a series of different choices in the moment that you're in. In fact, there is an infinite number of these alternative versions of you that are having different experiences because at some stage they made a different choice to you. And yet, from your perspective, there is only one universe. And from their perspective, there is only one universe. And yet, there are an infinite number of you that are in different universes because of the different choices that have been made, and this is continuing to increase and increase and increase for all of the all in every single moment. So clearly there are an infinite number of universes, and yet each of these versions in their universe is experiencing one universe. Accepting the existence of paradox can increase your capacity to function well in your reality. Because paradox is fundamental, and it can be observed in other ways also in your reality and the experiences that you have. And here is one way where it is very useful to understand this is how it works. When you hold a certain energy, you will manifest an experience which is resonant, which is harmonic with this energy signature that you're holding. And this points to the importance of always being cognizant and in control of what this energy is. Because if you're in control, then this is the same as saying you are holding an energy which is resonant with what you want. This is being in control of this feature of your physical presence. So, if you wish to experience joy and abundance, then you would hold an energy signature which is resonant with that, which is exuding this quality of joy and abundance. But what the human tends to do is become worried about the future, about bills, about jobs, about relationships, about health, about all manner of things. And so this worry mentally represents like this: I really hope I can afford to pay my bills. I really hope that I don't fall short and I can't pay them and then I have financial difficulties. I really hope that doesn't happen. But the paradox of this hope that you're not broke is that you hold an energetic vibration which is of that quality, of the quality of being broke, of not having enough money, of falling short of your bills. And so paradoxically, your worry that you can't pay the bills is in fact what manifests the reality where you cannot pay your bills. Let us end this way. Humanity is on the verge of ascension into the fourth density. And in fourth density, you yourself will become a paradoxical being. And this is why. Right now, you identify as the individual. And your answer to I am is I am me, the individual. When you transition into fourth density, you will awaken to realize that you are an aspect of a larger being, a larger group being, and that group being is the humanity being. You will realize that you are the unity. And so your answer to the question, who are you, will be, I am the individual, but also I am the group. I am the one, but I am also the many. You will become paradoxical. And as your journey back to the ultimate destination of your divine purpose, which is to become fully realized that you are in fact the one, your nature will become increasingly paradoxical in definition. Because the one is the ultimate paradox. It is the one, and it is the infinity. We love you, and we thank you.